Hello. Thank you for joining us. Let us begin with a word of scripture based on the text that I'll be preaching from this Sunday. The text is taken from Luke's Gospel, chapter 15, beginning with verse 12. The younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me. So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country. And there he squandered his property in dissolute living. Verse 17. But when he came to himself, he said, How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare, but here I am dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father. As we continue our series of sermons based on some of the parables of Jesus, this Thursday's thought is taken from this text out of Luke chapter 15, verses 11 through actually 32. The story is that a father had two sons, and the younger son requested his inheritance earlier than what was normally the time of passing on such of an inheritance. And after receiving his inheritance, off he went to live in a foreign land, to live life as he pleased. So the movement of this text takes us away from the Father's house, out into the world, and then back to the Father's house. It is between this time the youngest son leaving home and coming back home that so much is communicated about the stages of life that one can go through. Now, this parable is part of what is referred to as a trilogy of parables that are about the extravagant measure of grace and the extravagant jubilation of heaven. This is seen in the parable of the lost sheep. This is seen in the parable of the lost corn. And certainly it is seen in this parable of the prodigal son. Of all these parables, the extravagant measure of grace and the extravagant jubilation of heaven quickly comes into focus. And yet, despite all of this grace and despite all of this rejoicing, there is one character in this parable, one character in this story that never enters into all of this joy. That is the older brother. I invite you to join us this Sunday, August the 2nd at 10:50 a.m. as we continue this conversation about the parable of the prodigal son. You can do so. You can join us by going to hvumc.org. There you will see a link that says parable. Click on it and join us for the message. I hope to see you this Sunday. Bright blessings.